Welcome, treasure hunters. It's another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. You know what day it is? It's Friday, and it's May 8th. So we're going to go ahead and check out some of the most relevant coin finds that people are selling on eBay, like we always do. This is a fun video. If you're looking for some inspiration as you go into the weekend, that's why I do these on Friday nights. There's a little method to the old madness in there. So I want to thank you guys for joining in on this one. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. As always, every single listing in here generally will be graded free. All right? All the coins will be listed raw. All right? So, and we also take all the actual seller photos from the listing, and we use that. And, you know, it'll be a little bit of a photo education lesson too, what not to do on some of them. Luckily, on these listings, there's just enough imagery to grab the buyer's attention that they'll either put a bid in or buy it now. So, very active week. I can tell you that much right now. You know, even when you think the economy would be down when it comes to coins, it's just people are doing this to pass the time. And guess what? It's very beneficial in a huge way. So we have many hundreds of dollars in coins sold. As a matter of fact, we got 25 of them to talk about. So let's not dilly-dally around like I always do. Let's go ahead and jump right in and see what we got here with the first coin. This is a 1973 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one was struck through a capped die. So that obverse looks pretty weak. Okay, you would either mistake it as a struck through grease, which if that were the case, this thing would just be a knockout, or struck through capped die. So a coin would get stuck on the hammer die that produces the obverse image of the coin as these coins are being struck. The coin wouldn't dislodge, it would stay as a hat, so to speak, on that hammer die, and it would strike the subsequent coins with that particular coin stuck to the die. So it's a pretty neat error. This one sold for a best offer option of $14.95, so that probably sold for about $10 or so. Yeah, pretty nice. Nice photography, by the way. Killer. All right, the next one that we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is the 1972 Philadelphia 1 cent Lincoln Memorial. All right, so this one here is one of the chase-worthy double die obverses that you would look for this particular date. And my apologies about the images. These are what I received from the listing. But this is DDO number 2. Check out the words, "In God We Trust." Some pretty phenomenal spread, and the spread's not too bad on the date too. You can see some extra thickness and some oblong shapes here in the 9. The 1 is fatter, you know, and a little bit of a notch right here on the top of the 1. And then there's a little bit of doubling on the 7 and the 2, of course. This one sold for $23.97. There's just something funky or odd or weird about this particular coin. It just doesn't quite look like problem free, like there's something going on with it. I mean, you can check the before images, the images before the close-ups, to get an idea of what the actual coin looks like. But it looks like there's something unnatural about the way this coin looks. All right, how about some paper money? We got a couple of them here back to back. So we got a 1995 small head $20 Federal Reserve note. As you can see, there's a huge void on this thing, but more miraculously, for this type of error, this puppy sure has circulated a few. Even has that unsightly teller marking at the top. So when these things are in a full bundle of, what is it, $2,000. So they'll run, you know, a marker across the very top, and that's what you see on the top margin of this note. But what this really is this is a foldover for the second printing. So the first printing is things like the serial numbers, district seals, and all of the 4 2s that you see on there. And that's why you have a 2 on that blank area. But when the sheet was fed through again to produce the second print, it didn't quite work out so well. The paper had folded in a certain spot, and that's where you have here a pretty neat error. This one sold for $101. Not too bad for the seller. Good chunk of money. Nice error. All right, we got another one right here. This time it's a little bit newer note. It's a 1999 dollar Federal Reserve note. These are still out there. 99s, that is. Of course, you're probably going to find more of the newer notes. But this one, on its front, doesn't look too off. The green of the district seal looks a little bit under inked right here. But based on that, there's a good reason why that looks a lot faded, and it's going to be this. All right, so we have a wet ink offset transfer on that third printing from one sheet to another, and that explains why the green seal is appearing to look under inked. So I'm sure there's a number of these notes with the same type of deal, but this is another type of wet ink offset transfer that you would normally find. It's pretty cool. So this one sold for $129.20. Some would even say that the $20 bill before this should have fetched a lot more money based on just how crazy that error is. But yeah, this one, you don't see too many third print offset wet ink transfers that often. All right, so this is a pretty neat find for the seller. Congrats for the nice little hit there. All right, and then we have another dollar bill. This time it's a 1985 Federal Reserve note dollar bill. As you can see, it's got that pretty crazy looking gutter fold. It stops in two parts, actually, right over the green district seal. And yeah, simply, the best way to explain this is that there was a wrinkle in the sheet when it was being printed. All right, so when you stretch out that wrinkle, this is what it would look like. Pretty cool effect, huh? So this one here sold for $49.99. The reverse would have the same effect as well. They did not catch it between any of the first, second, or third printings on this note. So pretty crazy error, and a nice one too. All right, so this gem right here, you would just probably pass by and think, oh yeah, that thing is worn down like you would not believe. Not so fast. It's a 1971D Lincoln Memorial cent. This particular coin was actually struck on a split planchet. So the planchet had split in half, almost like a clamshell that completed all the way through, and it just fell off. So it's like half of a coin cut down right down its edge. It's pretty crazy. The coin only weighs 1.4 grams, so it's tremendously underweight, and it's very thin. As you guys know, this particular date of coin would weigh 3.1, so it's less than half. This one right here sold for $35.75. Pretty cool error right here. All right, so Millennium Coins wants you to know that he took these pictures, which are just marginal, but it tells a story. That's the important thing. It's a 2019 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield cent with an apparent kind of like obverse strike-through. Okay, this one's crazy. We've seen a few variants of this type for 2019. The dirty is worth some money. This particular example here, he has a Dutch of them, a number of them. He's selling them in quantity for $7.49 a piece. This was the current confirmed sale, so keep an eye out for these 2019s. You can tell it's a strike-through and not damaged because, as you guys know, these are copper-coated zinc coins. If it was truly damaged, you'd be able to see the zinc come through. Okay, this is all copper right here. It's a strike-through like nothing else. All right, so here's a coin that we've seen quite a few times. These are very common. But it's a 1999 Philadelphia Delaware State Quarter that exhibits the neat die crack that looks like the horse is spitting. This is actually an earlier die state. Later die state examples would actually show the crack going through the words Caesar Rodney on this one. So this coin, in spite of how common it is, still sold for $8. It's a pretty decent like mid-state 62 example if I had to guess grade-wise what it falls at. But, you know, keep an eye out for these. They're still worth a few bucks, and they're a neat oddity, you know, for people to actually collect the things. All right, so this coin right here is proof that you do not put anything back. If there is a little something, make sure you hold on to it. All right, so we got a 2008 Philadelphia Roosevelt dime with a few die chips on there, but the biggest one of all is actually the one that's at the bottom of Roosevelt's bust, right near the mint mark. So it's got a big old chunky die chip right there. And because of that, it actually sold for $7.89. So I want you to envision something. Okay, you're going through dimes, you're going through pocket change, not thinking anything of it. You come across something like this. Do not throw it back. Okay, it may look minor to you, but someone just paid almost $8 for this thing. That's a Starbucks latte and a bagel. All right, so that's like an easy breakfast payout right there. But then again, just keep an eye out for stuff like this. It's these type of coins, you know, the $5 to $10 coins, that certainly add up over time. All right, the next one that we have here is the 1996 Philadelphia Washington quarter. There's just enough of the date to know that it is a 1996, which is good. All right, people want a discernible date that they can read on these off-center coins. This one is about 5% off-center. That's pretty nice, and it sold for $14.50. All right, so we do have another off-center coin. This one is probably 2 or 3% off-center. It's not as robust as the previous example, but it's a dual-date bicentennial drummer boy that we love so much. This one here is sold for a best offer of $200. I ain't kidding. Yeah, it sold somewhere between $0 and $200 because the best offer was accepted. And I don't know exactly, specifically how much, but all I know is errors on bicentennial coins are desirable. All right, they just don't show up that often in the secondary market. All right, so this looks like your run-of-the-mill 1959 D Lincoln Memorial Cent. It's the first year of this design type, as you guys know. But, you know, the coin looks like just a really nice kind of like album quality specimen. You know, it's a nice BU condition coin, not anything to really write home to mother about. It's probably a mint state 63 or 64. But upon closer examination, we have a really cool repunch mint mark. This is actually a D over D over D RPM FS 501. It's in the Cherry Picker's Guide, and this one sold for $10.20. So make sure you check out those mint marks on those earlier Lincoln Memorial coins. Okay, there was a lot of RPMs out there to be found, and yeah, generally they're worth anywhere from like $2-3 all the way up to $20-30. You know, so do not throw them back, whatever you do. So this is a neat one. Even though this is not classified as either a variety or an error, okay, I have emphasized in the past that extreme machine doubled coins have somewhat of a market out there. Check this one out. It's a 1995 Philadelphia Washington quarter with an apparent double profile. How nutty is this one? This one is super strong. It's actually on the extreme side if you have to gauge just overall strength of the thing. But this one sold for $34.20. All right, not too bad. The coin looks every bit circulated. It's not BU by any means, but still, it sold for a tank of gas. So definitely keep an eye out for these. They do exist on not only the Washingtons, but also Lincoln cents and Roosevelt dimes. I've come across a few of those there, and they're generally all over the Philadelphia minted coins. All right, don't adjust your screen. This one is actually pretty yellow. It's just a lot of yellow light exposed on this coin, unfortunately. But this is a 1995 Philadelphia Washington quarter that exhibits some pretty cool die cracks. Okay, so these, if you looked at the previous picture, okay, it's kind of hard to see. They're right there on the first L of dollar, so you can see a few little tiny stress lines there. Upon just general observance, it looks like a couple of scratches, but these are raised. And it's because of this little neat die crack pairing here. It looks like it's a shattered die. Sold for $28.90. Yeah, and the coin is circulated. It's probably an XF45 thereabouts. So keep an eye out for these. You're going to have to whip out the magnifier for a few of them. And if you can take the good pictures, prepare to cash in. People are buying these up. Now here's a neat one. I actually have a few of these, but this is a 1970s something Washington quarter. Obviously it's missing its last digit. So is this foul play or is this an actual error? Well, I'm happy to say that this is a clogged die or a strike through. Generally, that one digit in the date would be filled with hardened grease and various other debris, that is. And so it's not uncommon to see, a certain number of the date missing, or a couple letters and "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" missing. You see them in various different types of fashions on these coins. So this particular coin right here, my apologies, I had a bunch of screaming kids run up the stairs, so it kind of put a little wrinkle in the plans here. But we have this strike through Washington quarter. You're never going to believe how much this thing sold for. Okay, so this thing was bid up to $103.20. Yeah, this is probably strange enough oddity that, it might warrant that kind of money, but it is a lot of money for a strike through. So I'm going to say it once, I'll say it again. Keep an eye out for stuff like this, okay? A missing digit in the date is a pretty big deal. Alright, so the next coin that we have here is the 2018 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield cent. Now this one doesn't look great, okay, I'll be honest. This thing looks not quite the desirable looking coin. It has all of the kind of like appearance of a coin that might be a low mid-state coin, but I think it's more of an AU 55-ish, in spite of all the extra red that you see on the coin. But this one right here, believe it or not, is a doubled die obverse. This is a WDDO number 1. Okay, this is the big one for this date. I mean, you can just see the doubling, especially on the 8. See how big this bottom curl, the 8. The 2 is extra thick right here. Liberty, though, you get a lot of spread with some split serifs in there, some notching. Pretty nice coin, but this one right here sold for $34.87. Not too bad. All right, so these are definitely still out there, and even in this condition state, still sells for quite a bit of money. All right, so keep an eye out for them. All right, so we got a 1989 D Lincoln Memorial cent. It's a pretty nice coin. It's got something going on. As a matter of fact, on the obverse, it's a misaligned die. All right, so the seller prepared this particular video this particular kind of like ganged up clip artwork. And you can tell that there's even some deterioration die doubling on the date. On the reverse, you have a little bit of a strike through action. But the reverse is perfectly centered, even though it's got a little bit of that strike through in of America in US of A. All right, so it's a pretty neat coin. This one sold for $33.50. It must be like $30 coin day. There's a lot of coins that sold for $30, regardless of what it is. It's pretty nuts. All right, so here's the next one right here. This is a 2018 Philadelphia, Michigan Pictured Rocks National Park quarter. Now this one right here I've talked about before. This is a really cool double die obverse. Just check out all the doubling on the motto right here, and even the min mark. Okay, see how much it's stretched out. You have the stretched out notching in there as well. This coin sold for $10. All right, so it's quite plentiful out there. You can find these pretty easily if you're on the East Coast, especially. So definitely keep an eye out for these. It's a pretty neat, very strong double die. All right, so the next one that we have here, I'm just going to throw a little caution to you guys. Do not just throw all your silver 90% in the little scrap jar thing that you guys use, okay? Take a close look at it. All right, how much would you guys say a generic common date 63 Washington quarter of this type would value at? Like $5. All right, so that's $5. But if you take a close look at it, you never know what kind of magic you're going to discover. Now, this one right here is actually a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. It's double die obverse FS101. I mean, just look at the motto, "In God We Trust," and you'll understand just how neat this one is. So this coin sold for $35.25. 7 times your melt, guys. So yeah, check especially 63s and 64s. 64s has a ton of varieties. So, and I happen to know that, you know, marginally BU coins like 63s and 64s, the grade wise, not the actual date, but mint state 63 and 64, of 63 and 64, there's a lot of stuff like this that can be found out there, okay? You can make a good grip of money just by reposting it on eBay. All right, so we got another orange quarter here. I think it's from the same seller as the other quarter we talked about, but what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2004 Denver, Iowa State quarter. This coin easily would be overlooked a million times over, okay? And then you have one eagle-eyed collector that found this little thing. You know what this is? No, I didn't think you guys would know what it is. What it is it's a retained copper strike-through, okay? It's a retained copper fragment that was stuck to the coin. So you know, it's kind of hard to say where this came from. It might have came from Lincoln cent planchets. Kind of hard to say, or it might have been, you know, part of another coin, a copper nickel clad coin that had fallen off, or it could have come from the machine and had fallen onto the blank before it was struck. But this little fragment is still stuck to the coin, and these are worth quite a bit of money. This example, believe it or not, as minor as it looks, sold for $73.80. All right, so we've had quite a few national park and state quarters. Well, here's another one on the list. This one is a 2007 Philadelphia, Idaho state quarter. This one is an uncentered broad strike. Pretty cool coin right here. Now, this one right here is sold for $12.95. If you're looking for a decent example of this coin, this one is probably it, but it looks like it's also got some damage here on the left side of the obverse. So keep that in mind. All right, the age-old adage of always checking your scrap silver remains true going into this next one. This is a 1943P silver wartime nickel, right? Where are these things worth? Like $1.80 or something like that. Yeah, generally this would end up in a box somewhere, or possibly in rolls, and you would just save rolls of these things. So what do we have here that makes this one so expensive? You know, I mean, it did sell for $68.48. It's got to be something spectacular. How about the good old doubled eye? Huh? You guys remember this one? This is a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. This is FS106. If you can't see it, it's right here. Here's the main eye. Here's the second eye. All right. Even on coins of this grade, which, by the way, can't be no more than like a VG8 fine 12. So it's a pretty low grade coin. This variety is something that you could still identify on even the lower grade coins. And if you can, there you go, $68 later, and you're feeling like pretty good, you know, cherry picking this one out of, you know, your change, or maybe, you know, through dealer stock of scrap silver. Pretty neat find, guys. All right, so we got 1994D Lincoln Memorial cent. There's not a whole heck of a lot that looks, you know, kind of interesting on this coin. As a matter of fact, it looks like it has a little bit of an issue on the reverse there in the one of the bays of the Lincoln Memorial. But upon closer examination, what you really have here is a pretty neat little strike through. Now, this is not damage. Okay, again, we're talking about a date of coin that is a copper coated zinc planchet, which means any sort of damage that you do to that coin, you are going to see zinc. All right, so with a strike through, you're not going to see that. All right, because it's during the strike, it totally seals in all of that copper plating. In addition, you're going to find buildup all around the hit. This one does not have it. So this particular coin right here is sold for $13.84. All right. I have probably spent coins like this at one point or another, and I tell you, yeah, if your eyes can manage, be sure to look out for stuff like this. All right, so we got a couple more coins left. Here's a 2015 Philadelphia Homestead quarter. No, this is not a double to die reverse. Okay, there's like 100 of them for this date. Instead, what we have here is this big old gnarly die break underneath the bucket of that pump. These are actually quite common. I have a number of them myself. This coin sold for $13.15. It's a nice little oddity. It is commonly referred to as the leaking bucket. So there you go. Keep an eye out for these ones as well. There's still plenty of Homestead quarters out there. And then finally, we're going to end it off, yes, on a graded coin. After I said that we're not going to talk about any graded coins, but this one certainly warrants a little bit of praise, because apparently someone had found another one of these 1983 transitional copper Lincolns. As you guys know, 1983 is supposed to be strictly copper-coated zincs. So this is a leftover pre-1982 3.1 gram bronze planchet, and it's a 1983. So it's a leftover, which is really, really neat. So this one is an NGC Mid-State 61 Brown. Again, it weighs 3.0 grams, which puts it right in line with the actual weight of an older bronze planchet. This one sold for $8,900. Did you guys know that they still sell for that kind of money? That's a life-changing amount of money right there. Yes. Make sure you have a good scale when you're looking for these. The more pennies you go through, the more success you will have trying to find something like this. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. It was kind of weird with like kids and dogs running around in the background. But hopefully it was clear enough that you guys can understand just how much gravy train stuff is still out there in bankrolls and change today. So keep an eye out for all of these. It's really phenomenal. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. As always, like, share, and subscribe to the video. Hit the bell for instant notifications. Ding, ding. There you go. And as always, Coinaholics, best of luck this weekend. Have fun on the search if you're going to be going through any sort of coin rolls. And, yeah, we are discovering together, as always. So I look forward to hearing your success stories of any big finds you may have. And I will see you on the next video. You guys take care.